The Escort Cosworth and Francois Delacour, one of the fastest and most exciting combinations in world rallying today. But where did the Escort Cosworth come from? Stuart Turner, who was the head of Ford Motorsport at the time of its creation, tells us the story.
I'm very much not an engineer, and I've always felt with geniuses like Keith Duckworth, Brian Hart, John Wheeler and people around, a little knowledge would be a dangerous thing. But when we were having the planning meeting at Motorsport to discuss the future generations of rally cars, we were floundering slightly because we knew that Escort was still front-wheel drive. We knew that Sierra was due to go front-wheel drive with the Mondeo, and we equally knew that front-wheel drive was no use to win World Championship rallies, so we weren't quite sure where to go. I threw into the conversation the apparently crazy idea, why don't we take a Sierra Cosworth, which was then two-wheel drive, cut the body off, get a big tin opener and cut the body off, shrink the car to Escort size, make it four-wheel drive, and see if the then Escort body shell would fit on it, because we knew that the current Escort, the new Escort, was slightly bigger, so if the old car would fit, we knew the new one would. We felt this would make a car which would be lighter than Sierra, nimbler than Sierra, would be carrying over a lot of the bits, which would speed development. And after the engineers had stopped laughing at this crazy idea, that's what we decided to do. And we went to John Thompson at Hot Shop Prototype Shop, and on the 4th of July 1988, he started to create this hybrid. It was completed on the 31st of October, so a very rapid build.
The point to remember at this stage is that the Escort Cosworth was being developed even as the Sierra Cosworth was only in its early days, and that the four-wheel drive version hadn't even been put on sale.
We then, while the car was being built, we'd built a general hack, and on the 12th of September 88 we did a test between a Sierra Cosworth and the Escort, what we then called the Escort Sierra, and the Escort Sierra in a very heavy prototype form was actually quicker. So it convinced us, in fact my note said Stig Blomqvist was highly enthusiastic and was quick to praise the balance and manoeuvrability of the car. So while this hybrid was being produced, we knew we got a potential successful package.
The reason that Ford was so excited was that the Sierra was already proving to be very competitive in all forms of motorsport, and indications were that the Escort project would be more effective than anything that Ford had produced before.
We then had to get the car through the company system. Because it looked like the then Escort, it was perfectly okay to drive it on the road. There was no secrecy involved in it. So we took it to Worley, the Ford of Europe headquarters, and we got everybody from the president downwards to take the car out onto the A12, which runs near to the offices. The same thing happened in almost every case. They go out for 10 or 15 minutes, come back with a broad grin on their face and say, "God, that was terrific. Now go away and think of something more sensible." Because to them, the idea of taking bits of one car, sticking bits of another with it and creating a car, a hybrid, seemed a little bit crazy. John Wheeler, who was the chief engineer on the programme, Mike Morton, the product planner on the programme, and we must have done, I would guess, 30 different presentations on the car. We had some flip-over charts where we showed the outlines of the existing cars and proved that the Fiesta was too small because the Lancia was slightly bigger, Granada obviously was too big, Sierra was slightly too big, so we agreed that the Escort was the right shape. We then, on these flip-over charts, demonstrated the advantages of an inline engine rather than east-west engine, easier to change transmissions and so on, better suspension movement, all those various things. It was not easy. In fact, one of the then senior engineers, he was sitting at his desk one morning and I crept in and sort of got on my hands and knees praying at the side of his desk, and he looked up and he grinned and he said, "You guys have been taking drugs." I mean, it was just such a crazy idea. But gradually we got people in line and we convinced people that this was the way to go if we wanted an international rally winner. By then we decided the best thing to do was to avoid the hassle of the RS 1700T Escort, where the plan had been to build it in-house. We decided the most logical thing was to build it outside, and Carman were on board, so we knew there was a way of getting it built.
The 1700T was Ford's cancelled Group B project. This rear-drive turbocharged monster was too late, too heavy and too expensive.